Good morning from Coastal Roots Farm. We are here again on a Tuesday morning, and today we are harvesting these potatoes. These beautiful potatoes, which I have been showing you and telling you all about. You can look at our other two videos, one in which we planted the potatoes, the second one we created these mounds around the potatoes, and today we are harvesting these potatoes finally. And to tell us more about that, we have Ellie, our assistant farm manager. Morning, Ellie.
Good morning.
So tell me, what's going on today?
Yeah, so it's a really exciting morning. We're harvesting our potatoes. It's been a long time coming. They've been in the ground for over 3 months. So you could see behind Sharon just now, we've got those bags of potatoes sitting in the fields. And we currently are picking out of the trenches that we just dug with the tractor. So if you come around this way, you can see the implement that you might be familiar with from the first few videos. It's a super useful implement that we actually use for the entire potato growing process. So currently we have on this shovel here, but when we were planting, we had 2 additional discs that go right in through these holders right here, and then the discs were able to create the furrow behind the shovel. They were able to fill the furrow that the shovel was creating, and so we could drop the potato seed in, and then the discs would bury it. Then for the mounding of the potatoes, we took this shovel off and we just used the discs to mound even more soil on, because potatoes will continue to grow up the more soil that you mound. So we did a couple moundings, and then the potato tops started to die back, which is a sign that the potatoes are starting to mature. We did have a little bit of disease. We're finding as we pull some of them up, they have what's called scab, and that's a bacterial disease. So we're separating those ones out. It's really, potatoes are very prone to disease, so that's really common. But so some of the leaves died back from disease, some died back as they do when the potatoes mature after they flower. So after the tops die back, then we come in with just the shovel and drive down the center of the potato bed, and the shovel will actually dig up most of the potatoes. So it's kind of moving along, and then the potatoes are sort of unfolding. It's really cool to see. And then we all go through, and it's a big potato treasure hunt, and we're kind of digging them out of the mounds and out of the ground and bagging them. And then after we bag them, we'll move them over to these, what are called macros. And this is a great storage container for larger amounts of food. So you don't have as many of these, it would be a lot of small totes if we didn't have these macros to be moving. And then conveniently, you can actually pick up these macros with the forks on the tractor. You see these slats right here, so you just pick them up, drive it over to the cooler. Our cooler door is wide enough that you can just load them right in. And then they'll be in our cooler, and we'll take out, bags at a time for our farm stands and our distributions. We'll wash them and we'll send them out to the community.
That is amazing. I love this process. I love how you use the same machine for the whole process through.
Yep.
Super efficient. And thank you for telling us about these, because I think many people do wonder, how did the potatoes make it back to the cooler and then to the farm stand? So this is awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. So I'll give you a sample run of our next row.
Yes, I want to see this thing go. I want to see it pulling up those potatoes. All right.
So then I'm gonna do a run down.
Ellie's gonna start this up. You guys will watch the machine in action. It's amazing how these machines really help us make an efficient workload. We can get so much done. Go, the shovel is going to go down. Look at these beautiful mounds. There she goes. Look at those potatoes coming out. Amazing. As you can see, she's just literally digging in where the mound is. You guys can see here, the potatoes are being dug up, and they just kind of fall right back in, making it super easy for the farmers to then collect them. Talking about, you can see how they've started to die off, and that's when they knew that it was time to harvest. Back in June, when I was interviewing Ricky about when will these be ready to be harvested, he said about a month, but you know, nature, we can't compete with nature, and so nature has decided it'll be a little bit longer than a month, so it's been about 6 or 7 weeks since then. And I just want to show you real quick before we go to see how they're hunting for these potatoes. These are the mounds that were created from June, that the same machine using discs was able to create these beautiful mounds for those potatoes to grow and to grow up the root. And I love teaching kids something that I just recently learned, which is potatoes are actually tubers. They're not a root. So many kids say potatoes like a carrot, it's a root, but it actually grows on the root, which is pretty amazing that it's something different and that you're giving the root all that space for the potatoes to grow. So we're gonna turn it back to Ellie. So Ellie, my question is about how many, I can get this around, about how many potatoes, it's 100 feet long, right? About how many do you harvest in 100 feet?
Wow. So you can see here, we got about 6 bags out of that row. And in each bag, there's probably close to 100, probably anywhere from 70 to 100 potatoes. They're much smaller because we did have to pull a little bit earlier because of some of the disease on the foliage. They're a little bit smaller. So it really varies, you know, if they had sized up a little bit more, it would be less to a bag. Mm-hmm. But we're probably getting in the range of 600 to 1,000 of these small potatoes per bed.
That is amazing. Wow. And so each plant, is there like an average of how much each plant will produce? I know depending small or big, but is there an average?
Yeah, so that's very variety specific. Like for example, we're growing a fingerling, the Magic Molly. These are actually not a fingerling, but Magic Molly, which is a couple beds down, which I can dig a few up for you.
Amazing.
Are a fingerling, and so they'll produce way more per plant than larger potatoes like the Kennebec and the Red Norland.
Got it.
So it really is variety specific. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is a beautiful variety. See that color there?
Oh, beautiful
really
purple.
Excited for this one.
Very cool.
Our first time growing it.
That's awesome. And now tell me a little bit of the process of it being in the cooler. So, you know, so you said, 600, right? Potatoes per row. We have so many rows. That's a lot of potatoes. Is the cooler the place where you keep them until you sell out?
Yeah, it is. And we definitely get tight on our cooler space. Garth, our distribution coordinator, has put in some work to rearranging the coolers, and these macros really help because they're actually, we can stack them. So that'll really help to clear up some space, but we've been able to rearrange our coolers and really utilize pallets where we have stacked crates or macros that are stackable to use vertical space. But we definitely have to be strategic about when we're pulling certain things out of the ground, when we're distributing certain things, and how much we can save because of space.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a challenge at certain times of the year.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I'm just thinking 600 potatoes times, I don't know how many beds are here.
12, yeah.
12 beds. That's a lot of potatoes. Awesome. Okay, so I want to see this treasure hunt that you've been talking about with the farmers.
Let's head on over.
All right. And for our viewers at home, potatoes, this is the right time, right, for harvesting potatoes, right? It's always in the summer.
Yep.
And you planted these back in April?
Exactly.
Is that right? Okay, so if anybody wants to grow potatoes at home, then April will be about the right time to plant them.
If you can always, sometimes people will sprout their own potatoes, and use their own seed. But if you're ordering potato seed from a company, they'll ship it at a specific time. So you don't really have a choice in when you plant it. It's when the company ships, and it'll vary slightly. They'll give you a window on when that potato seed may come. But that kind of helps you determine then when you're putting it in the ground. And harvest can really vary. You're just paying attention to the plants.
Yes.
And when that foliage starts to die back.
Awesome. That's cool. That's great to know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see here. So we have here Ricky, who was on our last video. Hey, Ricky. All right, so tell us about a little bit of the treasure hunt that you're doing here, finding these potatoes.
Yeah, so Ellie just came by with the tractor and dug up all these potatoes here in this row. So what we're doing now is we're just trying to go through really quickly, sort out the good from bad for the most part, and kind of get them in bags so that we can put them in storage. So what we're looking out for right now is little bits of damage from anything from a wire worm to some bacterial problems that we've been having, but for the most part they're looking good. And we're not too worried about this dirt for now because they can store with it on them. But yeah, we're just kind of come through as quick as we can, sort everything out, and get them in the cooler.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so are you looking for bites within the
Yeah.
potatoes? Looking for
little
rotten?
little pinholes from the wire worms, which
Okay.
is a common pest that we have here. Sometimes it's a bigger issue than other times, but for the most part, it's something that we can manage. Little bits of damage here and there aren't too big of a problem.
Cool.
And then a little bit of scabbing that we were getting. So
Got it.
I don't think it'll affect storage too much, but yeah, we're just trying to keep an eye out for all that stuff.
Cool, and these are all the ones you found.
Yep.
I see right here.
Yeah.
And how deep down do you have to dig sometimes
You know
to
what?
find them?
It's
Or is
not
it-
too deep. Most of the potatoes are going to be clustered right around that plant there. So Ellie's got it pretty dialed with how deep she's digging. So we're not digging too much deeper than where she dug, but we're kind of knocking down these two mounds that she created, and that's where we're finding most of the potatoes.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, and here we have Kevin. Kevin, I see you're putting these in bags. Awesome. Are you also looking for potatoes, or do you have a different job out here
No,
this
I'm looking
morning?
for potatoes as well. So while Ricky's kind of sorting through and separating everything out of the dirt, I'm going through and just doing the last couple of checks just to make sure anything that he might have missed or that was kind of hidden with all the dirt that's on it.
Yeah.
I'm rolling around my hands, making sure it's going back into the right bag. So like right here, I have a bag that's like only the bad ones that we're still going to use for our farmer food, and just making sure that nothing's getting not like used while we're in the fields, making sure that everything that we can use we are. Meanwhile, all the good ones that the public is going to be seeing is right here.
Yes, I love that. So we're continuing with our Jewish value of Bal Tashchit. We're not wasting, and we're making sure that even the ones that are bad but still edible will be eaten by someone, right? If not the public. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
This looks great. All right. We'll continue over here. We'll watch Corey here as he's digging for some of these potatoes, going through the mounds. Corey, how does it feel when you find one?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really fun, actually.
Yeah, fishing for potatoes.
Yeah.
That's right. You're like, I got one. Yeah, that's how the kids were feeling when they were digging up the ones that over on the other side at
Well,
camp.
we thought about trying to get the whole summer camp to come over and help us harvest.
Oh, they would love it. They would love it so
I don't know
much.
about their parents though. They might be all muddy.
Yeah, well, we tell them, bring your kids in clothes they don't mind getting dirty in, because they might get dirty.
That's what farming's about.
That's right. Thank you so much, everyone. So excited to feed the people some potatoes. When will these be available at the farm stand?
They'll be available starting next week, so come on and check them out. Take some home. They're going to be delicious.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy your harvest.